How's everybody doing? Tasha and I have just finished week 2, day 2, hosted by the lovely Amy of Buck Camp, and OMG, it was brutal. I was actually cursing Amy the whole way through. I was like, I was cursing myself really because it's actually my programming. I was like, what was I thinking? And Amy just keeps going through it all. Like she just, not a peep out of her. I don't know how the hell she does it. She is some serious woman, I tell you. But yeah, don't let that sweet smile fool you. She really is the silent assassin. But anyway, so I'm going to dive right into the questions today because there are a lot of them. Oh, it's automatically recording. So, hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to this week's Q&A. I actually was, I got my son, Corey, to do something with the settings in Zoom earlier, and he must have set it to automatically record. So anyway, we're recording. So here we are. Right. Let me pull up the questions. I'm going to take the app questions first. So let's see what we have. We have Trisha Opala is saying, so I'm at the doctor today inquiring about a GLP and stating, as I have before, this perimenopause phase is no joke. You are correct, my love. Definitely have increased my weight in the stomach and hormones of periods are no longer consistent. All is so bothersome. I hear you, sister. I hear you. He never wants to address what I say could be accurate. It's always the same. Do you exercise? Are you eating a whole food diet? What does one do? Because my primary doctor does not help. So this is such a common question, Trisha, and I'm really glad that you've asked it because I think that just to help you understand your doctor a bit better, and not that I am a fan of doctors at all, because I'm not, but one thing I will say is that they generally are well-intended, and quite often, especially if it's male doctors, they actually just haven't a clue. Like we go to them and we're like a sweaty, hot, menopausal, mess with like emotions that are all over the place and whatever. And all the doctor knows to do is blood work. They go, oh, okay, and you describe all your symptoms. You're like, I just don't feel like myself. Like I'm crying all the time, and I'm, and I'm in pain, and I have like shoulder pain and hip pain. And the doctor goes, okay, well, let's do some blood work. And so he does some blood work, and he goes, your bloods are fine. So you're fine. It's all in your head. And we're like, it's absolutely not in my head. But the problem is, especially as a male doctor, males don't have the same fluctuations that women have. We wake up every day, we feel different in our body. We have hormonal fluctuations, emotional fluctuations. Nothing stays the same for women. But men, nothing changes for men. Like their bodies feel the same every single day when they wake up. The only time a male's body feels different is when he's injured. And that's why men get, or injured or sick, that's why they get a case of the man flu. Or in the case of my husband, if he gets a sore wrist and it's leg day, he doesn't go to the gym and train legs because he has a sore wrist. And I'm like, your wrist is very far away from your legs. Like, I don't understand how this stops you. But for him, or if he, hurts his toe, it's like, well, I can't train shoulders. I'm genuinely at a loss as to how a sore toe stops you from training shoulders. But men are very like, my body hurts. Batten down the hatches. Don't do anything. Just completely lock it all down until this gets better. And so the problem is, you go to a male doctor as a middle-aged men, or I hate to say middle-aged, but we are menopausal woman who is having all of these symptoms and things hurt, and a lot of it is simply due to low estrogen. Like that's what happens. Estrogen starts to leave our body, and every single joint in your body needs estrogen. Every organ in your body needs estrogen. Your bones need estrogen. Your brain needs estrogen. Everything needs estrogen. And even if we go on and even if we go on HRT, that doesn't always help. Like I went on HRT and it did make a big difference to me, but it didn't cure like all of my aches and pains. And getting the dose is quite hard as well. So your doctor is probably well intended, but just really clueless to help. So what I would say is, I don't know if this exists in America. I'm sure pretty much does. And I know that healthcare is expensive in America, but what I would advise is try to find a specialist, try to find a woman doctor who specializes in menopause, go to her and talk through your symptoms. But the other thing I want you to understand is, me, I am big. Anyone who follows me will know that I am big on peptides, big on peptides, on GLP-1s, on all of those things, simply because they are so misunderstood. Like we don't judge someone for needing reading glasses, right? We don't blame them and go, oh my God, well, you should just struggle through. You should, just hold the things away from you or get a magnifying screen. Like you shouldn't wear glasses. No one judges you for needing, reading glasses. They go, oh yeah, your eyesight's gone, need a pair of reading glasses, boom, can see. But yet take a GLP-1 and people are like losing their shit because, oh my God, I can't believe that you're cheating. Well, no one calls you cheating for wearing a pair of reading glasses, do they? Like, it's insane. So I think the GLP-1s are one of the most transformational peptides of our time. I believe that they literally change lives. They quieten the food noise. They help your body to process insulin better. They reduce brain fog, they improve mental clarity, they reduce inflammation, systemic inflammation in the bowel, in the body, in the heart, the lungs, the organs, the tissues. You literally become pain-free, especially if you're taking a microdose. On the larger doses, it helps too, but on a microdose that you're not doing for weight loss, that's what happens. So I don't know whether you're against a GLP. Like you said, my primary doctor does not help. I don't know whether you're against a GLP, but I just want to encourage everybody here who is closed-minded about GLPs or who's had horror stories about, well, my friend Susan went on it and she was really, really, really sick. Well, Susan was being overdosed. It is never, ever, ever a GLP issue. It's always a dosing issue. So that if someone went on a beta blocker, for example, and their doctor called and said, how are you doing? And he was like, oh my God, I'm on the floor. Like, I can barely get out of bed. I'm so exhausted. The doctor wouldn't go, oh my God, that medication is ruining you. That doctor would say, oh, wow, I'm really sorry. I've obviously dosed you too high. Let's cut back on the dose, right? But everybody goes, oh, the GLPs made her really sick. No, the GLPs didn't make her really sick. The dose made her really sick because they dose people far too high. They don't titrate up gently. They dose them too high. So I would recommend looking at all of your different options. There are things out there to help you. Peptides, massive, emerging, growing market. Peptides are just signals. They're literally signals. Peptides are signaling hormones. That's what they do. They literally tell your body to do more of what it already does or do what it already does better. That's all peptides are. People think they're a drug, or my sister was like, I'll never take a peptide. Like it's like the COVID jab, because we're all very anti-COVID jabs in our house. She's like, I'm like pro-choice. I'm like, take it or don't take it. I don't care. I didn't do it, but didn't judge you if you did. Or maybe I did judge you a little bit. No, I'm joking. So my sister is like the really anti-COVID jab. Okay. So she's like, it's like COVID jabs. I'm like, that is literally the most ignorant statement I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, it's just, they are like chalk and cheese. One is an antiviral, one is a peptide, which is a signaling hormone. So what am I trying to say? There's loads of options out there outside of what your doctor knows. Just because your doctor wears a white coat and went to medical school, or whatever doctors wear these days, doesn't mean that he or she is the know-all of everything. They have a set of skills, and then they advise you based on that set of skills or based on that skill set, and they advise you the best they possibly can. But we all as women need to get out of the mindset that our doctors know everything or our doctors know best. We know best. This is our body. Whenever my doctor was telling me that my chronic herpes and chronic UTIs were nothing to do with menopause because I was only 37, I refused to take that as an answer. I was like, well, I'm sorry. I do not believe you. I've done the research. I've looked into it. My whole family goes into early menopause. I believe that they are related. And it took me until age 43 until I finally found someone to listen to me, but I never gave up. So, don't let anyone tell you that you're wrong for feeling the way you feel. You know your body best. There are so many options out there, way over and above, outside of what your doctor knows. And it's up to you to go and find them. It's up to you to research them. It's up to you to look into them. And sometimes it's up to you to trial them, Like, I take a lot of peptides. They're all research peptides, which I personally had tested and sourced, so I know that they're safe. I have my mom on them. I have my dad on them. I have my kids on them. I have my husband on them. We're like porcupines every night, like injecting ourselves with all different peptides. I feel the healthiest, the best, the most energetic. I look the best. I sleep the best that I have ever slept in my entire life. And everyone tells me that at this age, at 47 years of age, I should be feeling the worst that I have ever felt, because I am in perimenopause, almost a menopause. I get these erratic, weird periods that last like 10 days whenever I get one. And so what's that all about, by the way? So people keep, I speak to other women my age and they're like having horrendous times. And I'm like over here, living my best life, like energy on the body of a 20-year-old, because I don't listen to what the doctors say. I listen to what my body says. I do my own research and I make my own choices. So for anybody listening to this, I want you to know that you are in the driver's seat of your life. It is your body. It is your choice. Just because the doctor says, no, you can't have that. Like they told me I couldn't have a GLP-1 because I wanted to microdose it. Oh, no. Can't do that because it's off label. I was like, well, screw you. I've done the research. I'm going to go find one. And I did. So, you just have to take things into your own hands and just know that doctors can only prescribe within the law. But there are so many things like coloring outside the lines. There are so many things available to you outside of what your doctor knows, and do not rest until you find what it is that you're looking for. Oh, okay, first question. Always, my son was editing the video last week and he was like, oh yeah, I took this excerpt out of your first question because you always go off on one in the first question. He said, I know it's like routine. I'm going to get good content. I was like, oh, do I? He's like, yeah, you always go off on a rant in the first question. I was like, okay, very predictable, clearly. Okay, Annika Adams is asking, and Annika Adams Reefer, any substitute for edamame? Edamame is a great, great, great vegetable. It is high in protein. It's a little high in fat, but super high in protein, super nutritious, loads of fiber. What would be a good substitute in the vegetable world? Very, very little. Probably lupini beans. If you can get lupini beans, they are probably a good substitute. I only discovered them a few years ago. Really high in protein, low in carbs, low in fats. Really good substitute for people who don't want to eat tofu or soy. We used to get a lot of that in the company. People are like, oh, I'm soy free. I'm soy free. I don't think I hear anyone say they're soy free these days, which makes me think that it was the fad that the meat industry was propagating, that soy was bad for you and causes breast cancer. It doesn't. We don't have anyone ever asking for soy free anything anymore. Lupini beans, if you can find them, would be a good substitute. Otherwise, just any other food that kind of matches the calories, you can substitute it out for that. Carolyn Biega. I'm a few days behind as I was sick for a couple of days. That said, just finished up all the cardio and man, my booty is on fire from week 1, day 5 and week 1, day 6 cardio. Oh man, have a great week, everyone. Oh, no question. Just telling us about her bum. Love that. I love hearing about people's bums. And then she put a beautiful picture of her skiing last weekend and saying this was her cardio last week. Juliet Sask. Day 1 of week 2 butt camp done. Boy, my glutes are feeling it now. Yeah, it was a tough one, wasn't it? I have a bit of a cold, so I modified my cardio session to do most of it on the rebounder so I could get the extra lymph pump for drainage from my ears. Definitely helped a lot. Okay. Sorry, I should really read these. Not a question. Just people checking in with me. I love that. Okay. Is there a question here? No, there's no question of the next one here. Everyone just like reporting their major wins. Okay, I love that. Well done, guys. Well done, Tatiana. That's fantastic. I love your wins. And Laurie, you have a win as well in there. Looking good, Laurie. Looking good. Building the muscle. Looking good. See, consistency is all that it takes over time. We always want to try and shortcut the process, make it faster. You can't. But one day you look back and you go, holy crap, Amori, like, look how far I've come. Right, let me get the questions from the group now as well. Here, did you all love the resting bitch face? Please post your pictures. I just had I laughed my head off whenever I saw that this morning. It actually made me laugh out loud. So I thought, let's make this into a wee resting bitch face. I'll have to go and check all the comments. Right, what have we got going on here? Adri van Nierkerk. What a great name. I have a question, please. I'm following the build plan. I chose this because I am skinny fat and I want to build muscle. I put a post in the group to see if anyone else is doing the build, but it looks like it's just me. Oh no, it's not just you. I can promise you. We have sold so many of those. There's loads of people doing the build. Now I'm wondering if I made the right decision. Do I still have a good chance of winning if I am not shredding? Should I do the shred instead? No, you don't necessarily have to do the shred, but it would depend on your body composition. So when you say you're skinny fat, that can mean a lot of things. It can mean that you are just very, very, very lean with very little muscle. Or it can mean that you are, like, let me show you a picture of me when I was skinny fat. Let me find it. This is important. I want to show you what I mean whenever I say I was skinny fat. I have all these different albums. One of them here called Body Shots. Let me go right to the very beginning. Right to the very beginning of my journey. Okay, so I actually have 2 that I would consider to be skinny fat. So this is me. Can you see this? Sorry, for those of you listening to the replay on podcast, you can't. This is me skinny fat, okay? So had a little muscle definition, not much. Had fat around my belly button that I could not get rid of, reasonably skinny legs, you know, bit of muscle tone, not a huge amount of muscle tone. So I decided that I was going to diet without doing any strength training. And then this is what I ended up with. Look at my posture. Isn't it so terrible? So this is what I ended up with here. So again, you can see I'm just skinnier. I had no more muscle. I was just skinnier. But that is skinny fat. I still have a layer, see around my tummy? Still have a little layer of fat around my tummy. It is not the toned tummy that you see now. Now, why is this important? Because if you look like this, then I would recommend that you absolutely do the build meal plans, okay? And then focus really, really, really hard on building muscle. If you look more like this, Kim. Oh, no, not that one. Kim's gone. If you look more like this, then I would recommend that you do the shred. Why? Because you will lose fat and build muscle at the same time. In the other picture of skinny Kim, let's go back, this one here, Kim does not need to shred any more body fat. So all of the food that Kim is eating in the build meal plans, which are really not high calorie, will go into building muscle. But in this one, Kim has a little bit of fat that Kim can burn. So I wouldn't want to eat extra calories in this one because I would want to shred off some of the body fat to see the muscle underneath. So you have to understand that if you're doing the build meal plans, you're not going to shred body fat. So you're going to almost look the same at the end with just a little more muscle definition. Now, are your glutes going to look better after 8 weeks? Yes, because mine are testament to how well this program works. Oh my God, in the last butt camp, I could not believe how much my glutes grew. And you will burn fat anyway through doing the workouts, which are the strength workouts, which have a big cardiovascular element to it. Like, what was with all those bloody frickin', like, what do you call them? Dumbbell swings today? Like really, Kim? I really, like, I do the workouts and I'm like, really? I shout at myself sometimes on the screen. I really do. I'd have to get Tasha to take a video of me. So it depends really on what you're going for. If you're going for, you do want to see more muscle definition, then honestly, doing the meal plans, you're still going to build muscle, but you will lose body fat at the same time, which may make your muscles look more defined. But don't forget, the judges primarily in butt camp are looking at glutes. So whenever we send the photos through to the judges, we only send them the glute pics first because we want them to look at the glutes and go, oh, wow, right? So that's all we do. We just send them the glute pics first. We get them to rank their glute pics, and then we let them see the rest of the photos and the video this time. So remember, you have to do a video as well. Only the top 10 has to do a video. So then what that does is, because sometimes someone's transformation looks better from the front, right? Sometimes people lean out really, really well on their stomach. And so they might, have like shredded abs, and they might be like sucking in. Not that anyone here would ever do that, certainly not me. And so they might have really good abs. And then, the judges might be like, oh, wow, like she just looks amazing. And, they're judges. They have their own filters. They're maybe looking through and going, oh, she just looks incredible, whatever. And we're like, no, but this girl's glutes are better. She's like, yeah, but she has a better overall transformation. I'm like, yeah, but no, the glutes are what we're looking at first and foremost, okay? It's overall transformation of the back of the body. That's the most important thing. So that's why we only send them the glutes first. And then we ask them to evaluate based on who they ranked with glutes. Does that change based on seeing, the side pics, the front pics or whatever? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So you want to think about how can you make your glutes look amazing. That is the most amazing transformation. What we do sometimes after butt camp, we get people posting their pictures in the group and their front pictures, and people go, oh my God, you should have won. Your transformation's amazing. But whenever then, and I sometimes look at it and go, holy shit, that girl's transformation is amazing. So I'll say, Tasha, pull me out her pictures. I want to look at her. Like, I think maybe we must have missed her pictures because like, that's amazing. And maybe they didn't go through to the judges, and then we'll pull them out and I'll go, oh, our back pics, our glutes didn't really change. Your back pics aren't that good. Or back transformation isn't that good. So, you have to know what it is that the judges are looking for. In this, primarily, they're looking for glute pics. So why is this important? Because you want your glute pics to be fabulous, okay? Practice the posing that's in the posing guide that is free for you in the customer hub. And I'm thinking any of the app members who don't have the posing guide, I will get Corey. Tasha, if you're listening, can you please Tasha is listening, hopefully, get Corey to upload the posing guide into the app. I don't know whether we've ever put it in there or not, but make sure that goes in. Practice your posing for the pictures, and make sure that your back pictures are absolutely amazing. Make sure all your pictures are amazing, but make sure your back pictures are amazing. So should you do the build meal plans if you have no fat to lose whatsoever? Yes. If you have a little bit of fat to lose, no, because it's going to show your definition better and you're still going to build muscle even in a shred. I get there in the end, don't I? Get there in the end. I have to go back now because I went out of it, and so now I have to go back in and find it again because Facebook decided to Crash it. Chris Muringer. I have to break up the workouts for time due to my work schedule. I do the weights at 5 a.m. and the cardio at 5 p.m. My issue is that when I do the 5 a.m. workout, I'm half awake and my heart rate is always higher, which makes it difficult to lift as hard as I would like. And I have to take frequent breaks to catch my breath. My goal is to build more than shred. Am I getting enough out of the weight workout since I'm so fatigued, being that I'm going from a dead sleep to working out? I'm not sure that I'd be very good at the cardio that early either, but maybe I should flip them around and try the cardio in the morning. So I think, Chris, you've answered your own question. Like in the morning, if your heart rate is going up, okay, and you're finding it harder to lift the weights, well, the goal of the cardio is to get your heart rate up. So I would be doing the cardio in the morning, right? If naturally your heart rate's going up in the morning, you definitely want to be doing your cardio then, and then do your weights in the evening. The reason why that's also good is because sometimes people train better whenever they have more food. So I always train better in the afternoon. I am not a morning trainer. Like when I get up in the morning, my husband will get up and just go straight into the gym without eating. If I ever train in the morning, I have to go. Sometimes I can do it on an empty stomach, but often I have to go and just like I have to eat like a banana and like a protein yogurt or a protein shake. By the way, I've gotten into protein yogurts recently. Never used to eat yogurt ever. And everyone used to ask for it. And I used to be like, why do all these women want yogurt? Like, what's everyone's obsession with yogurt? I never ate yogurt in my life. Well, I did when I was a child, but not since I was like 5. And everyone was always asking about yogurts. And I'm like, what is people's obsession with yogurts? I now understand. I love them. They're great. They satisfy a little sweet treat. You can get really high protein ones, even vegan ones over here. Love them. So I have to eat in the morning before I train. Otherwise, my blood sugar, I don't know, I just must have low blood sugar. Maybe because I'm so lean, but I used to get really kind of dizzy sometimes and I just didn't feel I could push as hard. So, whereas in the afternoon, I train like a beast because I have a lot of food in my system. So you have a lot of sugar in your blood and you can use that sugar to push bigger weights and push heavier and push harder. Now, that might not be true for everybody. There's some people who are like naturally a morning person, like my husband, grew up in Australia, used to getting up at the screak of dawn, straight into the gym or out onto the beach or whatever. Here in Belfast, we are not morning people. It's cold, it's dark, it's like most of the year, apart from in the summer. We don't like getting up and exercising in the morning. We are not a culture of morning exercisers. In Australia as well, it gets dark at like 5 p.m. Like it doesn't even get dark at 5 p.m. in the winter here. In the summer, it's bright until 11 o'clock at night. And that's one of the things that shocked me the most about being in Australia. I was like, where has the sun gone? Well, day's finished, Kim. It's 5 o'clock. I'm like, but it's the middle of summer and it's like pitch black by 7 p.m. I was just blown away by that. But so in Australia, they're all used to getting up really early and having their day done and dusted by 5 o'clock. And then they're all in bed by 8. Again, totally shocked by that. I was like my parents-in-law used to go to bed at 8:30 p.m. Couldn't understand it. Now I do because they all get up at 4. Anyway, why am I saying this? Because for Ryan, his physiology is get up early and train because that's what he was programmed to do when he was a child. My physiology was stay in your warm bed where it's cold and wet outside and it's warm and snuggly here and do not get out of bed. So that's how I'm programmed. So I train better in the afternoon with a full belly, not a full belly, but like with food in my system. I can definitely push harder. And if that is you, then it does seem like you might be better doing your cardio in the morning, even though it's not pleasant to get straight out of bed and do cardio. But you can like groan and grumble and bitch and whinge to yourself. Like sometimes I just suffer through it. I'm just like stomping my feet and like feeling sorry for myself and like growling at Amy, I'm just like, fuck off, like she's all like chirpy. Hi. I'm like, piss off, just like, fuck you, Amy. I don't want to be here, just like muttering away to myself like some deranged like old person. And so anyway, I just think if at least I'm getting it done. I might be grumbling and suffering and bitching and whinging, but at least it's getting done, right? So yeah, that's how you can get yourself through it. Jessica TK, Kim, please tell me your thoughts on intermittent fasting. Next question. No money teasing. So my personal thoughts on intermittent fasting, I don't like it. I just think it's not necessary, have to be honest. So here, I'm going to give you my personal thoughts and I'm going to give you the other side. So my personal thoughts, not necessary. If you told me that I had to narrow my eating window to like between a certain time and a certain time, I would be terribly upset with you because I like flexibility in my eating. I can't always eat during the day. So I like to eat in the morning. I like to eat my biggest meals in the morning and in the evening. And honestly, I eat very little during the day. Like lunch today was, what did I have for lunch? I had a protein yogurt. See, loving these yogurts. And I had there's like a vegan, we get them over here. What do they call it? It's almost like a vegan cottage cheese in a way, but it's just like made from, I don't know what it's made from, but it's high protein anyway. And I have that. And like quite often that's it. Like that's my lunch. So I don't like intermittent fasting because personally it doesn't suit me. Secondly, the main principle of intermittent fasting is just calorie restriction. There's really no science behind it. Like then people love to go, oh, there is science. It helps your body to process glucose better and your cells. And it's got, what's that? Autophagy or whatever. I don't even know what the name is. But anyway, people love to quote science. Really, honestly, the only science behind intermittent fasting is calorie restriction. You are cutting out calories. By cutting out one meal a day or by narrowing your eating window, you're narrowing your opportunity to eat. And whenever you narrow someone's opportunity to eat, they naturally eat less. So people lose weight when intermittent fasting because they're eating less. I've never seen any stage athlete use intermittent fasting as a way to get ready for the stage. It's not scientific. It's not measurable. It's not controlled. It's just literally narrowing an eating window. So my point is, why would you do it? Why? Like, why would you make your life more difficult than it already is? If you wanted to lose body fat, count calories. That's what you're doing here in this program. Simply count calories. And that will get you far better, far more measurable, far more sustainable results. Now, let's flip to the other side. Well, Kim, don't have time to count calories. Very rarely have time to meal prep. In fact, I hate counting calories. Doesn't work for me. Confuses me. Hate using those apps. Okay, well then intermittent fasting might work for you, right? You might be the kind of person that just enjoys restriction, or you want to lose body fat, and restricting your eating window is the only way that you can control yourself. In that case, intermittent fasting would be great. So it just depends on the kind of person. It depends what your goal is. But if you think that you're doing it because it's good for the body in some way, there's very little research or evidence very little scientific evidence to suggest that. The other thing I would say is whenever you wake up in the morning, your metabolism is slow. So you want to wake up your metabolism, preferably with some protein. So if you wake up your metabolism and give it some protein, that's very thermogenic. It tells your body, signals to your body, start burning energy, and your body continues to burn energy throughout the day. If you do not eat in the morning, let's say you don't eat till midday, your metabolism stays slow. It stays in your sleeping, resting state. And whenever your metabolism is slow, it's not burning more calories, which is what we're trying to get it to do. It's not growing more hair. It's not creating more saliva. It's not growing your nails, right? Slow metabolism slows everything in the body, right? It slows your digestion. It slows everything. So I want to wake up in the morning and I want to get my metabolism roaring along. So within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up, I'm eating a big tofu wrap with spinach and rocket and tomatoes and hot sauce and avocado, and I'm stuffing that bad boy in my face and enjoying every minute of it. That's just my personal preference. So if it works for your lifestyle, I would say rock on. If it is more of I think it's scientifically better, it's not. So your decision, whatever you decide, has to work for you. Whitney Ray, my question is more for curiosity, not necessarily because I want to do this. But anyway, if we were to do the gym program instead of the follow along, would it make sense to do supersets or active rest to get the fat burning benefits like the home workouts? I'm still loving the home workouts. I'm just curious for the future if I choose to step back into the gym at some point. So yes and no is the answer, Whitney. It depends on, again, what you're going for. And to answer this question, you have to understand the two different styles of training. So whenever you are training, you can train with high intensity training or with mechanical stress, it's called, which is high load, big, heavy load, and full stretch and full squeeze of the muscle for lower reps. Or you can train with metabolic stress. Metabolic stress is higher training volume, so more reps or more time. So we do minute-long sets. In the gym, you would never be doing a minute-long set of something. Well, very rarely doing a minute-long set of something. And we train with lower weights, higher volume. That's called metabolic training. How are they different? Well, mechanical stress on the muscle rips the muscle apart. So you go into a squat, right? You go down into a squat with a heavy barbell on your back. When you're at the bottom of that squat, your quads are under massive tension. This is assuming you're lifting a heavy weight and maybe you have a spotter. Quads are under massive tension. The muscle fibers are ripping apart. Glutes are under massive tension. Glute fibers are ripping apart. Hamstrings are under massive tension. Hamstring muscles are ripping apart. And then you push up to the top and you squeeze out, and then you lower, and then you activate, and then they ping, 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 and they rip apart, and then you push up to the top again. If you're doing that with a heavy enough load, you're only going to be able to do 8 to 12 reps, okay? On your final set, you might only do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reps. The last ones will probably be spotted. It's more like a sprint, okay? So think about mechanical stress is like a sprint, and metabolic stress is more like a marathon, or like one of those like 10,000 meter races, or a half marathon, say. So they're two completely different styles. The training that we do focuses on volume and on metabolic stress. Metabolic stress, what you do is you place trauma on the muscle by kind of shaking the metabolites inside the muscle. That's why it's called metabolic stress. It places stress on your metabolic system. It places stress and trauma on the muscle by holding it more in time under tension. So the muscle fibers will very rarely rip apart because you're not placing a huge load on them. Like imagine a big bodybuilder down at the bottom of a squat, right? And his legs are trembling and squeezing and holding that weight, like it's taking every ounce of his strength to hold that weight. The muscle fibers are going to go ping, 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 ping. Well, with us, we're able to go up and down and up and down. And then our muscles start to burn. They're being pumped with lactic acid. Again, that's what, causes more trauma to the muscle. And you pause for a second because your muscles are burning, and then you go again. Like in the gym, when you're training with mechanical stress, you never, ever, ever stop because your muscles are burning. Your muscles don't burn whenever you're training with mechanical stress. They fatigue. You literally, physically cannot go down and do another squat. Like your legs just give out, below you. Never stop because your muscles are burning. You stop because your muscles fail. They give out completely. Quite often in our style of training, you give out or you stop because your muscles are burning. And it's the burning pain that makes them stop. But it's that burning pain that causes the trauma to the muscle. But that's why you can pause for a second and go again. Pause for a second and go again. So you continue to damage and damage and damage the muscle through pausing and going again, or just by getting to the end of these pretty long sets. So you're keeping the muscle under tension for a long time. You can do either of those in the gym. But what I find is that when people go to the gym, they train with metabolic style weights but with mechanical style training, meaning they do light weights for fewer reps. And that is what I find has been happening over years and years and years of training in this company until I started whipping your asses into shape. A lot of you were going to the gym and you were doing the prescribed 8 to 10 reps on the sheet, but your muscles weren't growing. And that's because those 8 to 10 reps that you were doing were not challenging enough to build muscle. I see it all the time. People saying, I've been going to the gym for years and my body hasn't changed. And my answer is always, you're not training hard enough. You're not lifting enough load to force the muscles to grow. You're not placing enough stress on the muscles. You're doing 10 reps of an exercise that's just slightly challenging, that isn't the challenge that your muscles need in order to grow. So go back to your question. Could you do the style of training with the active rest and stuff that we do in the gym? Yes, you absolutely could, but you couldn't do it with a heavy load. And if you tried to do it with a heavy load, you would be trying to shove a hybrid metabolic training into a mechanical training. And would the result be that your muscles would grow? Maybe. I don't know. But you would probably just make yourself miserable because you'd be trying to go for a minute set with a heavy weight and you wouldn't be able to do it. So you'd have to set the weight down, go for a lighter weight, and then you'd just be like, oh my God, I may as well have done this at home with dumbbells. Do you see what I'm saying? So the heavy weights in the gym are what fatigues your muscles, not the active rest. Now, in saying that, if you're like, okay, Kim, I hear what you're saying. I definitely for years have not been lifting heavy enough weights actually in the gym. Then active recovery would be a good thing because you're placing more stress on your muscle than you have been doing. So if you're going to the gym and training properly and you have a spotter to help you through those final reps and you're doing drop sets, you're going with a heavy weight, dropping it at maybe 4 reps, picking up 2 more, going again, dropping it, picking up 2 more, going again. If you're going to failure, past failure, beyond failure, every single time you're training in the gym, you do not need active rest. If you're not, then active rest would probably be useful if you're going in the gym and training in that way because you're going to be placing more stimulus on the muscle. But you have to be really, really, really honest with yourself about the kind of training that you're doing in the gym. Are you truly lifting to your maximum capacity and beyond? The beyond bit is important because that's where the muscle grows. The muscle only grows in the final reps of the final set. If you go beyond failure. What is failure? It's like, oh my God, can I get one more rep? And if honestly, the answer in your head is yes, you have not gone to failure. You know how you sometimes do something in the gym and it gets really hard and you think to yourself, so anyway, you get to 8 reps, right? Who's done this? Probably no one here. But I've heard of other people do this, that they get to 8 reps and they're in their head, they have 10, right? Oh, it says 10 reps and getting to 10. And so you go down in the 8th rep and you're like, oh, this is getting really hard. Whew. And you go down and up in the 9th rep and you're like, oh, it's definitely hard. You go, but I've only got one more. And the wee voice in the back of your head goes, but Kim, I'm pretty sure you have another 3 in there. And you're like, no. But the plan says 10. The plan says 10. Only got one more. If the plan says 10, the plan's right, okay? And so you go down and up and you think to yourself, do I have one more? And honestly, you know that you do. But do you want to do it? No. Why? Because it's hard, right? It's hard. We don't want to do it. And so we go, oh, it'll be all right this time. So what do? We rack the bar and we finish. You just left the muscle gains that you could have made on the table. You left it on the bar. You left it on the rack. That extra rep that you knew you could do, and it would have been tough and it would have been messy and it would have been hard. That extra rep that you knew you could do and didn't is where your muscle would have grown. So literally, you just wasted your entire squat set because your body will not give you participation muscle. It will not say, oh, well, she tried really hard and she was a bit tired and she didn't really sleep very well last night. And, she had a fight with her wife before she left. So we'll just give her a wee bit extra today for trying really hard. That's not how it works. No. So unfortunately, that's what most people do. You could do that in the gym. So you could do metabolic training in the gym. Would I recommend it? No. Why would you? Just do it at home. Why would you drive all the way to the gym to do it when you can just do it at home in your pajamas? If you're going to go to the gym, train properly and get a spotter and, train the way train like the badass bitch you are and put in some effort and watch your muscles grow. Okay. Elizabeth Teresa. Hello, Kim. Please can I ask for some options for push-ups? I'm terrible at them and I can only do 1 to 2 on my knees. I have used an incline plan to be able to do some, but I would like to hear from you some recommendations and options. Okay, so what you've done is perfect. I would always say to people, if you cannot do full press-ups, if you have any shoulder impingement or wrist impingement, or you're just like, I absolutely can't do them on an elevated chair or bench, because they are just as effective. Sometimes when I'm teaching and I'm really tired or I've been teaching loads or training loads, I will actually do them on the chair and I think, I'm just going to give them this option, right? Just, and really I just want to make it easier for myself. But I go, well, so if anybody has any shoulder issues, you can absolutely do the push-ups on a chair. I'll just show you the option, and the only reason I'm showing you is so you know what the option is, nothing to do with me needing a little break. And so I put my hands on the chair and I start to do a press up and I go, holy crap, these are really hard. I like, they're really hard. And I'm just like totally not prepared for how hard they are. So never underestimate the power of a little elevated push-up. It really does work. Now, the other thing that I really want you to think about when you're doing push-ups is you have to keep your entire upper body completely locked in. Okay. So a lot of people, their bodies are loosey-goosey, okay? I watch some women do this sometimes in the gym or people I'm training, and as they're lowering down, they're like really tensing their arms, and they're like this, but their body is like loose, and their tummy is coming to the floor before their chest does. In order to do an effective press-up, you have to suck your whole body up. You have to almost arch your back, and you have to think, if I sucked my belly towards my spine, and I arched my back, could I keep that position the whole time? And that's the position you have to go into. Another mistake I see women make in their press-ups is they open their elbows right out to the side, right? And they're doing it like this with their elbows out to the side. Your elbows should be at a 45-degree angle in a press-up. So they should be going at 45-degree angles behind you, not straight out to the side. If you're doing it straight out to the side, that's almost more like a diamond press-up, where you would put your hands like this, your thumbs and your forefingers touching, and you would do like a diamond press-up. That is a type of press-up, but a diamond press-up is really, really tough. I actually watched Tasha do press-ups the other week, and that's what she was doing, and I was like, whoa, and I had to stop, and I said, no, let me show you. And I pulled her elbows down, because she had her elbows like right out to the side, like almost like pushing like this, and it just made it so much more difficult. I said, bring your elbows around. I said, suck your stomach up into your spine, and then lower your upper chest towards the floor. A lot of women as well, they lower their belly to the floor. Your upper chest is the thing that should be coming to the floor first. And if you have your knees on the floor, your chin or your forehead should be coming to the floor first. So if you have your knees on the floor, you're almost doing like a decline press up. So whenever you do a decline press up, it's always your head or your chin comes down first. So, and again, exactly the same angle, arms come back at a 45-degree angle, lowering down to the floor and pushing back up. So you just have to play around with the position. But one of the most important things to ensure is that your position is correct before you do it, that your body is locked on, your navel is drawn to your spine, your whole upper body is completely locked in, and that will actually make it easier. Because whenever you make your stomach like a dead weight, whenever you don't suck your navel to your spine, round your back, and really hold yourself up super strong, think like strong plank position. Like imagine you had to hold a plank. Like, how would you hold it? You'd be like locked on, okay? And by the way, I laughed today when Amy was doing the pulses and she was like, I think this minute is longer than a plank minute. I was laughing. It's like, oh my God, they really were terrible, those pulses. But so whenever your upper body's actually really locked on, it makes your press up so much easier. So try that and let me know how you get on. Monica wins. So it decided to snow in the eastern part of the States this winter, and it's often heavy snow. Could we utilize the activity of shoveling the dreaded white stuff and consider it a form of cardio? I promise it is not as bad as burpees, but not as much fun. Kind of no, Monica, and I'll tell you why. Because it is cardio, but I would treat it as extra cardio. And the reason is because it is cardiovascularly taxing, but quite often it's not enough to keep your heart rate in the sustainable fat burn. So the reason why our cardio is done the way it's done is you gently warm up, although Amy's warm-ups aren't quite so gentle, have you noticed? And so whenever you warm up gently and then you go into the fat burning zone. So you are doing these minute exercises with just a little 10-second rest. So your heart rate in some of the exercises is spiking and then coming down a little bit and spiking, coming down a little bit, but it's always hovering around the fat burning zone or just above your fat burning zone. And so it keeps the heart rate very consistent. Whenever you're shoveling snow, it's not consistent. So think about cardio as it's the consistency of the heart rate that is important. And it's not important that the heart rate is consistently at the same beat the whole time, like it would be if you were doing slow, steady cardio, but it's just that it's consistently high. And the thing about shoveling snow is unless you were measuring your heart rate to make sure you were in the fat burning zone the whole time, you could be leaving some fat burning on the table if that's important to you. So I do understand how hard it is shoveling snow, and it is very physical, but I wouldn't consider it a form of cardio because it's not measurable. We want everything to be measurable as much as we can for this competition. But if it's the only option you've got and you're beat at the end of it and you can't even think about doing another cardio session, you rock on with your bad self. I will not stop you. But as far as cardio goes, we do want to be in the fat burning zone as much as possible. Jennifer Kim. Hi, Kim. Thank you for your workouts. You are very, very welcome. Here's my question. There are a couple of weeks during the program where it would make more sense for me to go straight into the next week after day 6 cardio instead of taking a day's break and then take one day break on the day that is super hectic for me during the week. Are there any downfalls to doing this? Here. And she says, as an aside, I'm not doing the challenge, but I know your motto for best results is follow the plan. No, but that's not the case in this answer. You do whatever works for you. You could go, in the past, I've gone, 6 days and then a rest. Sometimes I've gone 6 days and then 2 days rest and then gone straight through for almost 2 weeks to the next day's rest. So if I've really needed 2 days, then I just go straight through. There's no right or wrong answer. Consistency is king. And so whatever keeps you consistent, as long as you fit in the workouts in like a 7, 14, 21 day period, doesn't matter when you do them. So you can schedule your rest day for whenever you want it. You just do what works for you. Molly Zemek, would you please explain the value of using bands over dumbbells in many of the exercises? I'm noticing that I don't feel like I get to failure or exhaust my muscles in the same way. And if I try a higher resistance band, I can't get the same range of motion needed to complete the exercise. Are bands offered more for beginners, or is there a greater advantage to muscle building or fat loss? This is a really great question. So it depends on the exercise and it depends on your fitness level. The thing about bands is they're actually a lot more effective than dumbbells a lot of the time because they add resistance on both the eccentric and the concentric movement. So the up and the down movement. So yesterday, whenever we were doing the flies, the lateral raises on the chair, I was going to use dumbbells, and then I was like, yeah, do you know what? I'm just going to use the band because it's there. I want to see, what the members are feeling whenever they're doing it. And so I got the band, and I was like doing the. First of all, I thought, yeah, maybe I should have chosen a harder band. This is quite easy. See, by about 30 seconds, my arms were burning, and that's because if you have dumbbells, you can actually kind of fling them a little more. So if you need to, you can kind of fling them up, and then you can let them drop with a little. The dumbbell is weighing your arms down. So unless you are adding resistance artificially on the way down, which let's face it, many of us are not always, you can actually be cheating yourself out of extra muscle gains. Whereas with the bands, those bloody bitches, there's resistance the whole way up and the whole way down. And so the muscle is under constant tension, which is really, really good. It's almost the same as using a cable in the machine. Sometimes I used to do, one arm, cable flies in the machine. The reason why I like cables, for bicep curls or for flies or anything like that is, again, added resistance. You can't just slam the cable down. You have to resist it on the way down so it doesn't bang down. Same with the bands. So the bands are really, really good for that. Now, for some exercises, such as, say, bent over rows or back exercises, I do prefer a heavy dumbbell. And I would choose that instead of a band if I could, because my dog is lying under the desk and he just farted, and it is eye-watering. If you're like mid-sentence and you're like, wish that you hadn't breathed in that second. That's just what's happened. I'm really sorry that I lost my train of thought there. So for bent over rows and things, I do prefer heavy dumbbells. And that's because as you lower your arms down, which is really important for back work, to get that stretch in the lats, I find that the tension goes off the band too much. So I like to have that tension the whole way down and the whole way up. So you get a really good squeeze at the top, but you don't get always the same stretch on the way out. So for back exercises, I think my preference personally would be heavy dumbbells because I have a very strong back and it takes a lot to build them. But they do really work for back exercises as well. You just have to make sure you have the tension high enough that when you pull and then you release, and then you pull and then you release, that you've still got tension on the release, which sometimes with back workouts, or back exercises can be hard to do. Barb Gonzalez is asking, hi Kim, is there an exercise to help open and release the spine? I feel like I've been wondering what I can do to get better mobility. Thanks so much. So the spine's a hard one, but one of the best exercises to get more flexibility in your spine is simply doing a cat-cow exercise. So get down on your hands and knees and then dip your back and then curl your back up and press into your hands and really try and push your back away from your hands and then curl down and then lift your chin up to the sky and try and hollow your spine and then curl away, push into your hands, push into your knees. If you did those every single day religiously, your spine would start to become more flexible. Another thing is a lot of twisting. So we just don't twist enough. Like quite often I'll be sitting here at my desk and I'll take a big inhale. You inhale and you lengthen the rib cage and then I will twist. But people end up twisting with this shoulder, twisting away. People end up twisting with this shoulder. So they twist this one around and think that they're twisting. You're not. You're always twisting the shoulder away that is going backwards. So I will twist and I will hold here and I will twist. But now what you have to do is, so I'm twisting to the right. It might look like it's your left, but it's my right. Now I check in with my left hip and I push my left hip back. And then I twist a little more. Take an inhale, lift up, and then I twist a little deeper. Exhale. Inhale. Go a little higher. Left hip back, right hip back, and then exhale. Twist a little deeper. I'm holding onto the arm of the chair. And then I'll come back to center and I'll do it to the other side. So anytime you're sitting, you can twist, okay? Sometimes I swing my arm up and I bring it around behind me like this. And then I take an inhale and I exhale, twist. Then I check in with my right hip on this side. Is it back? Push it back. Inhale, lift. Elongate the spine. Exhale, twist. Do that 3 times. 3 inhale, 3 exhale, twist. Try and twist your hip away from your shoulder. So opposite hip to opposite shoulder. So if you're twisting around this way with your left shoulder, you're pushing your left hip back. If you're twisting with your right shoulder, you're pushing your right hip back. And if you do cat-cow, and even just sitting at your desk, you can do, curl, and then you can press, and you can curl. Another thing is as well when you're driving, like if you're ever sitting at traffic lights, take a big inhale, and then exhale, and then twist, and then do the other way, and twist the other way. So twisting and cat-cowing your spine is really good for flexibility, and that's what I would recommend. Nicole Mandel. Hi, Kim. I was wondering if green cruciferous vegetables are free foods, then why are the calories and macros for them included in the meal plans? This is a good question too. And it's simply because whenever I created the meal plans, it was for ease. Because if I hadn't included them, what would happen is all of the crazy bitches, no one in this call, of course, but all of the crazy ones who don't show up to the call would go into, would they be like this? Oh, well, there's sculpted vegan meal plans. Oh, amazing. The calories and macros are provided. Let me just go into my fitness pal and check that they are all correct. Oh, hang on. But I can see that they're not correct because there's vegetables in here. These macros are off. These calories are over what my fitness pal is saying. I'm eating too much. I'm not going to be able to shred. I better go into the group and tell the coaches. So then they're like, I added up the calories and macros in the meal plan and you guys are wrong. And we're like, okay. It's not that we're wrong. It's that green cruciferous vegetables free, but why are they free? And then it creates a whole big, massive snowball of confusion. So we've learned over 10 years of running these programs that, and that's why we say, just trust us. You've no need to go and put it into my fitness pal. Even if the calories and macros were off slightly or we made a mistake, it's really not going to derail your progress that much. I promise. Even if you were eating an extra 100 calories every day for a full week, if you follow the plan, you are still going to get epic results. So we have learned over 10 years of running this company that sweating the small stuff makes zero difference whatsoever. But people who are new to the game and who are obsessed with losing weight as quickly as possible think that if they just get it right, it'll happen faster. And we all know, everyone here in this call knows it's not true. It's not true. Get it right doesn't happen faster. You just become more frustrated because you did it right and you didn't get the results that you thought you deserved. So that's all that happens. So we include them in the meal plan because otherwise people will go and add up the meal plans as they do, realize that they are wrong because they would be, because there's food in there that they're putting into my fitness pal that isn't in the meal plan. So we just say, here are the meal plans and here's all the extra stuff you can eat that's free. And that makes it super easy. Simple answer. Probably not what you want to hear, but tough shit. I'm joking. Nana Moni, sweaty Nana. Although Nana, you did have a run for your money today, didn't you? I can't remember who it was, but I saw there was you had a run for your money in the group today. It was a couple of sweaty picks happening. You're going to have to up your game, I'm afraid here. What is the correct reverse diet strategy after BC4 for a woman who gets lean on low calories but rebounds fast when she relaxes? I want to keep results in maintenance. What's the best way to find my true maintenance calories without gaining fat? Great question. So here's my answer. You're not going to like it. My answer is it genuinely takes time and a lot of trial and error to find that out. I can't really tell you what that is for you, but you need to, if you want to eat intuitively to keep the body that you have gained and you don't want to track forever, the only way to learn how to eat intuitively where you're not tracking and you're not following a plan is to do it. To do it and realize that oh shit, eating this way didn't work for me. I have cravings. I add off plan. I am a person who likes structure and boundaries. That doesn't work for me. Or, okay, my normal diet that I thought was, reasonably low calories, whatever, clearly isn't. So obviously I'm just going to have to suck it up and eat a lot less or whatever. Like I eat intuitively now, and my intuitive eating has always erred on the side of caution. So my eating has always been, I will try not to add any extra fat. I will try and not add any extra calories. I have a propensity to undereat rather than overeat because genuinely I'm just terrified of getting fat. And that's because I have a lot of fat issues, which is why I own a fitness company. Okay. Like I love my body, but I'm not ashamed to admit that there was a lot of fat shaming went on in my house whenever I was growing up. Not fat shaming of us because none of us were overweight, but fat shaming of overweight people. And my dad still speaks very inappropriately of overweight people. But it's not that he has a thing about overweight people. He just loves to joke about it. It's nothing to do with being overweight. It's that my dad was the oldest of the oldest of three children. And his father was so strict, so religious, and so hard on him and beat the shit out of him when he was younger. He had a lovely, loving upbringing, but His father was a deeply religious man. Like, they weren't even allowed to sew a button on a shirt. My aunts weren't whenever they were younger, because on the Sabbath, because there was no work done on the Sabbath. And so my dad grew up in a very controlled household. So my dad is OCD about everything. And he prides himself on being, able to fix any problem, being able to, figure a way out of any situation. He is Mr. Fix-It. But that's why I'm Miss Fix-It, because I grew up with this, everything has a perfect way of doing it. So someone who is overweight triggers my dad's perfection issues, because, oh my God, like, imagine, that you weren't perfect in what you eat, and perfect in how you trained, and perfect in how you did life. So it's nothing to do with being overweight, and everything to do with it triggering his personal, deep emotional issues that he has about not being perfect. And so that is how we all grew up, right? He never, ever, ever, ever fat shamed us, because, I said we weren't overweight, but I saw it day and daily. So I developed a rule that is not okay. Right. But interestingly, I never developed the same thing. If anything, I had a deep amount of empathy for people who couldn't lose body fat, because let me tell you, I've tried to lose body fat for the stage many times, and it is fucking hard. And I have studied obesity like for years now, and because of this company, and obesity is a disease. Like, women struggle with cravings. Like, food is how we comfort ourselves. We have so many deep rooted emotional like triggers that food just softens and quells and covers up. And just like gambling does, just like shopping does, like, food is a dopamine addiction. And we don't judge, well, we do, people do judge gamblers, go, well, he should just stop gambling. That's like saying a smoker should just stop smoking, right? Yeah, of course. Oh, one day, well, you know what, I'm going to stop this smoking. No, it's not easy, because you develop an addiction. So eating is an addiction, and it's used to, it's a way we comfort ourselves and make ourselves feel better. So you just have to look for your triggers. Anyone here who wants to start eating intuitively, if you find yourself overeating or having these emotional triggers, start to notice them, start to write them down. I advised one of the private coaching clients who joined Butt Camp the other day. I said to her, you need to create a pause between stimulus and response. And if you mindfully create that pause, you're like, oh, wow, I really want to go and eat something sugary right now. Okay, check in. What's happening? And I said, don't tell yourself you can't do it, but here's what you should do. I said, tell yourself, I said, you have my permission. Anytime you want to go and eat something sugary, you have my full permission to do it. She was like, I do? I was like, yes, of course. I said, but you have to do 1 minute of burpees and 1 minute of press ups first. She was like, oh, I was like, yep, 1 minute of burpees, 1 minute of press ups, and then you can have the sweet thing. She was like, oh, and suddenly it wasn't quite as appealing. And so I said to her, and if you're willing to do that, then you have earned that sweet treat. And I said, but here's the thing. I said, no, I haven't told you can't do it. So you're not going to sneak off and do it. I've told you can do it, but you have to earn it first. So if you get a craving for something sweet and you hit the fuck it button and just go and eat it anyway, that is a choice you have made. Now, I'm not judging you for that choice, but you could have had it if you had just done the work. So in that case, you actually don't want it bad enough. And that's really what it comes down to. She was like, oh, you're right. I said, so, you keep telling me, Kim, I really want to overcome this. I said, well, I've given you a way to overcome it. If you don't do the thing that I've told you to do, or at least try it to overcome it, you don't actually want to overcome it. She was like, oh, shit. And that's okay. But at least be honest about it. Right? Don't pretend you want to overcome it. Just at least say, you know what? I actually don't really, being thin is not important enough to me. And that's okay. Right? Maybe it's not. Like, that's fine. But we're better to be honest with ourselves than to lie to ourselves, because the lying to ourselves is the thing that, then we blame, oh, it's self-sabotage, and, oh, I just can't help myself. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Once you become aware between the stimulus and the response and you lengthen that space, now it's a choice. Before you were aware of it, it wasn't a choice. You were just like reaching for the sugary thing to cover up the feeling. But now I've taught you how to pause between feeling it. And you won't do it in the beginning. You'll grab the sugary thing one day and then you'll go, oh shit, Kim said to pause. I forgot to do it. Oh, well, too late now. And then one day you'll get the feeling, you'll reach for the sugary thing. You'll go, oh, I'm supposed to pause. And now you're like, but it's so close. I could just open my mouth and put it in. It's like, but now, now you're in the pause. Now it's a choice. Wasn't a choice before that. It was a mindless, feel the feeling, cover it up. Feel the feeling, cover it up. Now it's a choice. I'm not saying don't make the choice, but now you have the choice. And when you know you have the choice, you can choose differently. So that's what I always recommend for people who have, eating things, which is kind of away from your question, Nana. I apologize. But I just want you to, the only way you can eat intuitively is to learn what your triggers are. But but how you also learn to eat intuitively, I'll give you something more scientific, is start tracking your calories. Start tracking them yourself. Rather than following a meal plan, start tracking them in like MyFitnessPal or something. And notice how many calories are in the food that you're eating. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked how many calories are in a banana or half an avocado or some Haribo or whatever it is that you're, mindlessly going to snack on, right? If you like, say they bring like candy into the office and you're like, oh, you say you go to have a couple of, say they bring biscuits in, right? And you're like, oh, I love biscuits with a wee cup of tea. And you go to have some biscuits and then you go, I wonder how many calories are in this biscuit, right? So you pick up the packet and you look, or you scan it in MyFitnessPal and you look at it and you go, holy crap, there's 220 calories in that biscuit. I bought vegan chocolate cookies from Marks and Spencer, a supermarket over here recently, and they just looked amazing. And I was so hungry. I hadn't eaten lunch. I was driving home and I was like, oh, I'll just have one of those cookies. And so they were massive, right? They're about this size. And so I thought I'll have half. And so I had half. I was eating away. Oh my God, this is amazing. I have to have the other one. So I had the other one, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm going to have another one of those. And so I had another one. And then whenever I got home, I had 2 of them while I was driving home. And then I looked and I was like, I wonder how many calories are in those. Picked up the bag, looked at the bag. Do you know how many calories was in each cookie? Let me tell you how many calories was in each cookie. 580 calories per cookie. And I was like, on a 10-minute mindless drive. Now I can afford the calories, but I was disgusted with myself. Because they had peanut butter and chocolate chips and it was shortbread, I think, as well. Like they did this vegan shortbread. So I had like butter and, all this stuff in it. 580 calories per cookie. I looked at it. I was like, I've just eaten 1,160 calories in a 10-minute drive from the supermarket. And that's what happens when you start tracking. When you start looking at what those little things that you're mindlessly putting in your mouth, like 3 Haribo. I don't eat Haribo, but I know people love them. And so you're like, okay, or Sour Patch Kids. And you'll eat a couple of them, and you're like, wonder how many calories in these. So whenever you look at how many calories are in like a small amount of food, you are horrified. And it's all those little choices that add up in the calories. And once we start measuring those, not in the meals. People think it's in the meals. It's not. It's in the mindless snacking that we do between the meals that actually adds up the calories. Once you start tracking those, believe me, your habits change. Because you look at a biscuit and you don't see a biscuit anymore. A cookie, you see 580 calories. You're like, I know how many hours of cardio I have to burn. I know how many hours of cardio I have to do to burn off 580 calories. By the way, it's 3 hours of cardio to burn off 580 calories. Is it worth it? No, I'll be hungry. So, this feeling of hunger is actually far less worse than 3 hours of calories or 3 hours of cardio. Sorry, I think I'll just stay with the hunger. Okay, let me see if I can get these last 3 in. I know we're over time. Julie is asking, are there no new cardio workouts for week 2? Julie, you're obviously new here. No cardio repeats, but there are 40 new workouts. I saw someone the other day in the Insiders group say, someone was asking about Bootcamp 4 and she said, oh, I don't like Bootcamp 4. I prefer 3. 3 is harder. And I was like, you've only done 1 week, love. 1 week. There's another 7 to go. I wouldn't judge a book by its cover. And I was laughing to Tasha. I was like, someone saying, but Bootcamp 3 is harder. Based on what? Based on, I thought Bootcamp week 1 was pretty easy. There was loads of rest. There was no active rest. Like, we didn't bring in active rest until halfway through Bootcamp 3. So I was like, based on what? Just wait. Just wait, team. Just want to say thanks. Debbie is saying, oh, that's lovely. Anne Marie is saying, I have a question regarding fasting, when to eat in the morning and afternoon. I was told by a dietitian, I fucking hate dietitians, that you should only eat 2 times a day and possibly just even once. Oh my God. Don't listen to shit like that. Also, you should stop eating around 7 p.m. Oh my God almighty. This is so outdated. None of this is true. And not eat again until closer to 11 a.m. Based on what? For what goal? Like, I always say, okay, well, maybe that is good advice, but for whom? For everybody in the world? For every person of every gender, of every age? Is that true for kids? Is that true for 5-year-olds? Is that true for 90-year-olds? Is that true for athletes? Is that true for, Olympic swimmers? So, see, this generalized advice drives me insane. You said, I'm not hungry when I wake up, but I am around 7 or 8 a.m. after I work out. What are your thoughts? Anne-Marie, you're obviously new here as well. Do what works for you. Do what works for you. Honestly, seriously. Eat, don't eat. Train, don't train. Well, train, but train some, eat before you train, eat after you train, eat at midnight, eat in the morning. Just get the food in a 24-hour period. None of it matters because consistency over time is the only thing that matters. And if you were having a measurable goal that you were working towards that diet served, then I would say great. But I do not know what person that diet, those restrictions would serve. So I would just say do what works for you. If you eat a late meal before you go to bed, it can make your digestive system work over time. It can disrupt your sleep slightly. You can have like more dreams and stuff. But as long as you're not stuffing yourself in the evening or eating a really heavy meal at 9 o'clock, you're golden. Okay, I can't believe I got through all the questions today, all the app questions, all the bootcamp questions. I'm feeling extremely accomplished, and I did speak very fast, so I apologize if English is not your first language. You may need subtitles when you listen to me, but thank you for being here. Thank you. Sorry that I went over time. Sorry for anyone who had to run off, and thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Love you all loads. You're crushing it. I'm doing the workouts alongside you every day, so I know exactly what you're going through, and I just say that I hate Amy. She is the silent assassin. She will be doing no more workouts in the future. She is fired after bootcamp because she makes it far too hard and she makes it look far too easy. So, do not be expecting to see any more of Amy. She's out. She's gone. And I will see you all next week for another episode of, no, not the Kim Constable podcast, for another Q&A. Love you all so much. Take care. Bye, guys. See you soon.